Have you ever felt invisible? Like you're just a pair of hands moving through the world, doing what needs to be done, but nobody really sees you. That was my life. Day in, day out, for years. Sometimes the weight felt heavier than the stack of plates I carried. It wasn't just the physical exhaustion, though that was real enough. It was the weight of knowing, this might be it, this endless cycle of wiping tables, taking orders and counting pennies just to survive. My name is Maya, or maybe it doesn't matter. I was just the waitress, the one at the corner diner with the chipped mugs and the coffee that tasted a little bit like yesterday. My alarm clock screamed before the sun even thought about rising. Feet hit the cold floor. Uniform on, hair scraped back, smile pasted on, even when my heart felt like a lead weight in my chest. The diner was, well, it was a diner. The smell of frying bacon and stale coffee hung heavy in the air. The regulars shuffled in, nursing their hangovers or fueling up for jobs just as tiring as mine. Some were kind, a quick nod, a thank you. Others looked right through me. Barked orders, complained about the toast being too dark, or the coffee not hot enough, left loose change scattered on the table like an insult. My feet always ached, a deep throbbing ache that settled into my bones by the end of a 12-hour shift. My back protested with every tray I lifted, but the physical pain was background noise, compared to the anxiety that chewed at me constantly. Rent was always looming, that pink slip under my door last month. Pure terror. I'd scraped by, barely. Borrowed a little from Sarah, another waitress who understood the struggle all too well. But the electric bill was mocking me from the kitchen counter, unopened. And my car, bless its rusty heart, sounded like it was gargling nails every time I turned the key. There were dreams once, small ones maybe. I loved to sketch, used to fill notebooks with faces, with little scenes I saw. Wanted to go to art school, maybe design things. But life had other plans. College wasn't an option. Bills needed paying. My mom got sick for a while, and I had to step up. The dreams got dusty, packed away in a box in the back of my mind, right next to hope. Some days were worse than others. Days when every customer seemed determined to find fault. Days when the tips barely covered my bus fare home. Days when I'd lock myself in the restroom for 2 minutes, lean my forehead against the cool grimy mirror and just breathe. In and out, fighting back the tears because crying wouldn't pay the bills. Then there was that Tuesday. It started like any other miserable Tuesday. Gray skies spitting rain, slow morning, fewer customers meant fewer tips. My stomach twisted with the familiar dread. How was I going to make rent this month? Seriously, how? I felt trapped, like the walls of the diner were closing in, the smell of grease becoming the smell of my permanent reality. Around lunchtime, the bell above the door jingled. I didn't look up immediately, just grabbed a menu, plastered on the usual smile. "Be right with you," I called out, wiping down a sticky patch on the counter. When I finally turned, wiping my hands on my apron, I saw him, sitting in booth 4, the one by the window that always rattled when a truck went by. He wasn't alone, there were a couple of other guys with him, quiet, dressed down, but my eyes landed on him. Something felt familiar. The hat pulled low, the sunglasses, even indoors, the scarf loosely tied, the easy way he sat, observing the room but not really drawing attention. My mind stuttered. No, it couldn't be. Not here. Not in this diner. Diners like this were for people like me, people whose lives didn't sparkle. I took a breath, tried to be professional, walked over. My heart was doing a weird drum solo against my ribs. "Hi, welcome. Can I start you folks off with some drinks?" My voice sounded almost normal. Amazing. He looked up, smiled faintly, and removed his sunglasses. Oh, my God. It was him. Johnny Depp, right there, in booth 4, drinking our slightly burnt diner coffee. My brain went completely blank for a second. What do I do? Do I scream? Faint? Ask for an autograph? No, Maya. Be cool, be professional. He's just a person who happens to be a massive movie star, but still, a person. Probably just wants a quiet meal. "Coffee please," he said. His voice was quiet, calm, exactly like you'd imagine. His friends ordered sodas and iced teas. I nodded, my hand maybe shaking just a tiny bit as I wrote it down. Coming right up, I practically fled to the coffee machine. My hands fumbled with the pot. Sarah glanced over, raised an eyebrow. I just shook my head, trying to signal nothing, it's nothing, while my insides were doing cartwheels and backflips. Serving them was surreal. I kept my eyes down mostly, focused on placing the mugs carefully, avoiding spills. They ordered simple food, burgers, fries, a grilled cheese, comfort food, diner food. They talked quietly amongst themselves, laughing softly sometimes. They were polite, said please and thank you, treated me like, well, like a waitress, not invisible, but not like a spectacle either. It was strangely normal, and that made it even more bizarre. I refilled their coffees, cleared their plates, tried desperately not to stare, tried to push down the nagging voice, asking how much movie stars tip. Don't be greedy, Maya, I told myself. Just do your job, be grateful they were nice. The rain was still tapping against the window when they got ready to leave. He caught my eye as he slid out of the booth. A small nod, a hint of that smile again. Thank you, he said simply. You're welcome. Have a great day, I managed, trying to sound like I said that to Hollywood legends every day. They walked out, the bell jingled again, and they were gone. The diner felt suddenly, profoundly ordinary again, like maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. I let out a breath. I didn't realize I'd been holding. Okay, back to reality, back to the grind. I walked over to booth 4 to clear the table, plates, napkins, empty sugar packets, standard stuff, and then I saw it, tucked under a saucer, the receipt, and folded cash, quite a bit of folded cash. Okay, breathe, don't get your hopes up. Maybe it's $20, maybe 40. If I'm lucky, that would be amazing. That would cover the electric bill. I picked up the receipt first, turning it over to see the damage. Standard diner bill. Nothing crazy. Then my eyes scanned down to the tip line. My breath hitched in my throat. No, that can't be right. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. The number stared back at me, bold, unmistakable. It wasn't $20. It wasn't 40. It wasn't even 100. It was thousands, more money than I made in months, maybe half a year, written clearly on the tip line. And the total, even more staggering. My knees felt weak. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. My heart wasn't drumming anymore. It was slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. Was this a joke? Was someone playing a cruel trick? I unfolded the cash tucked underneath, crisp $100 bills, one after another. I counted them numbly, my fingers trembling. The amount matched the tip written on the receipt. This was real. This was actually real. Tears pricked my eyes. Not sad tears. Not even happy tears. Exactly. Just overwhelming. Total system shock tears. I looked around the diner. No one seemed to have noticed. Sarah was busy at the counter. Old Mr. Henderson was reading his paper. The cook was yelling about an order. It was just Tuesday. But my Tuesday had just cracked wide open. I clutched the receipt and the money to my chest, hidden under the dirty plates I was supposed to be clearing. I felt dizzy, scared suddenly. What do I do now? Who do I tell? My manager, Mr. Henderson, no relation to the customer, just an unfortunate coincidence of names, waddled out from the back office, scowling as usual. He had a knack for appearing whenever things got interesting, usually in a bad way. Booth 4 cleared yet, Maya? Stop dreaming and get working. Yes, Mr. Henderson, just finishing up, I stammered, trying to hide the fortune clutched in my hand. He squinted at me. What's that you got there? You look peaky. He gestured towards my hand. Find something? His tone was suspicious. He always assumed the worst of us. My mind raced. Panic set in. What if he tried to take it? What if he said it belonged to the diner? Policies about large tips were vague. Mostly non-existent because, honestly, who left tips like this here? It's just the tip, Mr. Henderson, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I couldn't lie, not really. His eyes narrowed further. Tip? How much? Let me see. He reached out. A surge of something, fear maybe, but also anger, protectiveness, went through me. This wasn't just money. This was a lifeline. This was the rent, the electric bill, the car repair. This was a breath of air after drowning for so long. It's significant, I said, stepping back slightly. It was left for me. Everything left in this diner is technically property of the diner until settled. He blustered, puffing out his chest. Company policy. Especially large amounts. We have to verify. Verify what? Verify if kindness was real. Suddenly I wasn't just tired Maya, the invisible waitress, anymore. Something snapped. No, Mr. Henderson, I said, my voice surprisingly firm though my insides were jelly. The receipt has the tip written on it. It was left for the service. For my service. He looked taken aback. I never talked back. None of us did. We needed our jobs too much. Now Maya, he started, lowering his voice into a false wheedling tone. Let's not be hasty. A tip that big. Maybe it was a mistake. Or maybe it's fair that it gets shared. With the house. You know, for overheads. Shared so he could pocket most of it. The injustice burned. This felt like the final straw after years of tiny slights, low pay and no appreciation. Just then, Sarah walked over, drawn by the tension. Everything okay here? She glanced from Mr. Henderson's angry face to my pale, determined one. I took another deep breath. Mr. Henderson seems to think the tip left for me belongs to the diner, I said, my voice shaking less now. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. She knew my struggles. She knew everyone's struggles there. She looked at Mr. Henderson, then back at me, then seemed to notice the wad of cash I was still trying to subtly shield. Her eyes went wider still. Was it booth 4? She whispered. I nodded mutely. Sarah straightened up. Mr. Henderson, she said, her voice calm but steely. Tips belong to the waitstaff. That's not just policy, it's the law, and I'm pretty sure I saw the gentleman leave it specifically for Maya. Okay, maybe she hadn't seen that specifically, but her backing me up felt like a shield. Mr. Henderson sputtered. He looked from me to Sarah. He knew he was probably on shaky ground legally, and maybe the thought of crossing someone who might have just been served by a huge celebrity gave him pause. Or maybe he just saw two waitresses, suddenly united, and knew it was a fight he might not win easily. He grumbled something under his breath about ungrateful staff and checking the rules, then turned and stomped back towards his office. My legs almost gave out with relief. I leaned against the booth. Sarah squeezed my arm. Are you okay? What happened? I unfolded the receipt, showed her the number. Her jaw dropped. No way, Maya. Oh my God, Maya. She hugged me, careful not to crush the money. But as I looked down at the receipt again, really looked this time, past the astronomical numbers, I saw something else, something I'd missed in my shock. Below the tip amount, scribbled hastily in the same pen, were two words. Simple. Unexpected. Keep going. Keep going. Not enjoy. Not have fun. Not for your troubles. Keep going. Like he somehow knew. Like he saw past the apron and the coffee stains, and saw me, the tired girl with the dusty dreams, the girl who felt invisible, the girl who was barely holding on. Keep going. Suddenly the money felt different. It wasn't just about paying bills anymore, though God knows, it would do that. It felt like permission, like encouragement, a sign maybe, from the unlikeliest of sources, in the unlikeliest of places. I finished my shift that day in a daze. Every customer I served, every table I wiped, felt different, lighter. The ache in my feet was still there, but it didn't drag me down as much. The future, which had always looked like a long gray corridor leading nowhere, suddenly had a flicker of light at the end of it. That night, I didn't just pay the overdue rent, or the mocking electric bill. I didn't just call the mechanic about my rattling car. I did those things, yes, and the relief was immense, like a physical weight lifting off my shoulders. I could breathe again. But I also did something else. I walked to the little art supply store downtown, the one I always peered into but never entered because everything seemed too expensive, too indulgent. I walked in. I breathed in the smell of paint and turpentine and fresh paper, and I bought a sketchbook, a real one, with thick creamy paper, and pencils, good ones, graphite, charcoal. That night, for the first time in years, I didn't collapse into bed exhausted. I sat at my small kitchen table, the bills paid, the anxiety quieted for now, and I opened the sketchbook. My hand hesitated for a moment. It felt rusty, out of practice. But then I thought of those two words, keep going, and I started to draw. It wasn't magic. My life didn't transform overnight into a Hollywood movie. I still had to work at the diner. Mr. Henderson was still a pain, bills would still come, but something inside me had changed. That tip wasn't just money, it was a crack in the dam. It let the hope back in. It reminded me that sometimes, life throws you the most unexpected curveballs. Sometimes, a moment of kindness from a stranger, someone you'd never expect to even notice you, can be the nudge you need. It reminded me that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't invisible after all, and that even when things feel heavy, even when you feel stuck, you just have to find a way to keep going. My journey is far from over. I still work shifts, I still pour coffee, but now I carry that sketchbook with me. I draw during my breaks. I'm saving up slowly, maybe for an online course. The dream isn't dusty anymore. It's smaller perhaps, more realistic, but it's awake. And it all started on a rainy Tuesday, in a corner diner, with a quiet man in a hat, and two simple words that changed everything. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you in any way, or if you believe in unexpected kindness, please give this video a like. Leave a comment sharing a time when a small gesture made a big difference in your life, or maybe just share some encouraging words. You never know who might need to hear them. Please subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and if you know someone who might need a little bit of hope today, share this video with them. Your support means the world. Keep going.